when you're winning. Get a goal, it's just the beginning. You gotta sing when you're winning. Everywhere you go. Everywhere you go. You gotta sing when you're winning. Get a goal, it's just the beginning. Sing, sing when you're winning. Everywhere you go.
Welcome to episode 14 of the Sing When You're Winning, a Fantasy Football League oddity podcast featuring distant cousins of podcast royalty and a very special guest this week who we will reveal very shortly. So waiting in line for the podcast throne once again this week are myself, Jamie, we've got Lee, we've got Steve, and declining the invite to attend this week because they didn't win the Ballon d'Or is Dan, Chris, and Stu. So everyone needs to introduce themselves this week with the name of their team. And in celebration of Halloween, which was last night, if you listen to this Friday morning, what's your favourite scary movie? Ooh. I could have said that in the Scream, couldn't I? Kind of.
Yeah. Mr. Trick.
Yeah, I missed a trick. Plus, my voice is going, so it wouldn't have sounded very good. So yeah, who wants to start? What's your favourite scary movie, Lee?
My name's Lee Cooper, manager of the Angry Dragons, and my favourite scary movie is an old one from the 80s called The Changeling. Probably not many people have seen it. It's like a George C. Scott, just like a supernatural horror, no gore or anything like that, but I love horror films. They're kind of my thing. So okay. Yeah, The Changeling would definitely be up there. If you've not watched it, go and watch it. Probably looks a bit shit nowadays, compared to the films that are out there.
Yeah.
But I think modern ones, because you've kind of that resurgence, haven't they? So maybe Terrifier 1. That's a good one as well. Bit of gore, bit of blood and gore.
Yeah. I don't like those kinds of movies, so I won't be watching Terrifier. Terrifier 3 is out, isn't it?
Yeah.
Someone was telling me. I didn't know there was a 1 or 2. But anyway, nice product placement there as well. We'll come on to that in a moment. Steve, how about you? What's your favourite scary movie?
Hi, I'm Steve. I manage the boys, and we've got 10 points this season.
Woo! Well done.
Double figures feels so good. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of horror films, really. I used to like them a bit in the 80s, so I'd have to go with Nightmare on Elm Street stuff in the 80s, which obviously now is probably a bit crap. I haven't seen them for years. But yeah, probably go with stuff like that. There was a lot of good things like that in the 80s, wasn't there? They all seemed better. Silver Bullet was a good film. I seem to remember enjoying that one. It was like a werewolf.
Yeah.
Is that counted as a horror film?
Yeah. I mean, it would scare the shit out of me. So yeah, probably. I definitely wouldn't be watching that. I've never seen Nightmare on Elm Street at all. You couldn't pay me to watch that movie. One of my ex-girlfriends once said she'd pay me to watch it, and I wouldn't. I was like, no.
I think the first couple were all good, and then it got to like Nightmare on Elm Street 10, and it was getting a bit stupid.
Yeah. Freddy Does Dallas or something like that.
Yeah, not for me. But I'm Jamie. I'm manager of Jamie's Giants there, named after the quality TV program. And my favourite scary movie is probably Scream. So yeah, product placement, very good. If you're not watching this on YouTube, you'll wonder what I'm on about. We've all got our Terrace mugs, in case you're wondering. But yeah, Scream, I think it is definitely my favourite scary movie. And Scream 2 is one of the best sequels ever, in my opinion. They're up to Scream 6 or something like that now, aren't they? I still watch them, but it's getting a bit silly. But the first one for me is very good. Although I do close my eyes. I know what's going on. I don't need to see it. It's that kind of thing. So,
seeing a new side to you.
Sorry?
Seeing a new side to you now, Jamie.
I'm right when it comes to things like that. Trust me. Yeah. I can watch blood and guts in like an action film. Don't bother me. But the thought of a scary thing, oh no, my imagination wins well. So let's introduce our special guest before I embarrass myself any longer. So this week's special guest is a Sing When You're Winning fantasy manager whose Twitter or X profile simply says entrepreneur. So there we go. It's his 6th season in Sing When You're Winning. He was relegated from the top flight in 2021. Sadly missed out in the playoffs last season, but he's happily in the best league, which we all know is the Championship. It's our league sponsor, so we all best be on our best behaviour. Let's give a warm Sing When You're Winning podcast welcome to Carl Sewell from the Terrace.
Woo! Thanks for having me. I mean, the applause is probably a little bit too much, but
You're our sponsor.
yes, I'm
You're
Carl,
going to be very nice.
manager of Into Terrace. Scary movies it's quite a hot topic in our house at the moment.
Okay.
So none of my favourite scary movies not from the 80s, because I do have a little bit more youth on my side. I was only 4. So we're pushing more 90s to early noughts, and I've never really been a fan too much of scary movies, but Paranormal Activity absolutely scared the living daylights out of me. So I'll go with that one because it did its job. But I've got we've got kids in the house, 12 and 11, and they've suddenly become obsessed with scary movies. So we've watched in the last week, we've rewatched Scream, which I remember as absolutely petrifying me when I was 13 and I watched it, to the point where my mates had Scream masks and they used to tap on your windows at night when they knew you were at home and stuff. And it used to absolutely scare the daylights out of me. We watched it last week and it kind of, Steve hit the net. It doesn't have the same thing. I think we've gone on in time, but now you're watching it and but 11 and 12 years old, they're sat there laughing the whole way through it. They've watched it. They got bored halfway through. It's mad. It's like a constant whirlwind of scary movies at the moment, trying to find stuff to scare them. But for me, we'll go Paranormal Activity just because it did the job.
I've watched it. I thought that was a great film. Although my wife watched it and she loves scary movies. And right at the end, as it finished, and I'm like this all the way through, she just went, "Rah!" And I jumped higher than anything in the entire film, and she was wetting herself for about 10 minutes. I think I wet myself as well, but there you go. So anyway, so she likes laughing at me.
I always get confused with Scream and Scary Movie because it's like the same, but one's a spoof, isn't it? So,
yeah.
Well, the Wayans brothers come out today.
Yeah, they've announced they're going to do another one, aren't they? Yeah,
they're bringing back the Scary Movie franchise.
Yeah.
Because who's the doofy guy? Is he Doofus or whatever his name is? Is he in Screamer? Is he in Scream? Is he in the spoof one?
What is his name in Scream? I should know that.
Doofus or something, isn't it?
They call him Doofus, I think, in Scary Movie, but he's yeah. I'll have a quick Google.
Yeah, that's one for Google.
Yeah, definitely. Right, shall we stop talking about the scary movie nonsense and start talking about football? Let's have a review of game week 9. So let's go to Steve. He's back after his week off last week to give us all of the rundown from game week 9.
Game week 9, then we'll start in the Conference League. Then Vicky Sparks is top despite a low scoring 49, but that was enough to beat Casey. Vicky would have lost to everybody, all but about 4 teams in that division, so there's a bit of Champions luck for you. Duke is level with her. He had a narrow win against Maddox. Ben Halliwell is 3rd. He also had a close game. He beat Paul Tonkinson, which put Paul bottom now, so he really needs to sort his team out. Alfie lost some ground. He lost to Chris Murray, who's now got his first win of the season at last. Pete, Grace, and Natalie all won their games and then moved into the playoffs. And the big guns in the bottom half, Sophie and Neil Robertson, both won and now at the top of the bottom half. So in there you've got the top 3, Vicky Sparks, Duke Witter, and Ben Halliwell, and the playoff teams Pete Martini, Grace, Alfie, and Natalie Pike. League 1 is a joint high score there for 71 for Lee. He beat Steve Wybrandt, who is in free fall, and we'll move on to Steve later on because he sent me a message about his team. Jamie Hurst slipped to 2nd. He lost to Craig Wilson, who now moves out of the bottom 4 for the first time. Rich Pipes, Phil Quar, Paul Spence all won and moved into the playoffs. Anton drew and kept up. He managed to stay in the playoffs still. Chesney won 2 games in a row now.
Well done.
So he's on a roll and he's only 3 points from Savannah getting out of the relegation zone now. Stu, sometimes of the panel, finally got out of the relegation zone. He won as well, so he's out of the bottom four. And Andy Cousins was the other joint top scorer there. He beat Nige, which has sent Nige dropping down the table. League table wise there, Lee and Jamie are top with 21. Then there's Rich Pipes, Phil have 18, Paul Spence 17, and Anton with 16. And the bottom four, who would all get relegated, Frankie Francis, who's dropped in there for the first time, 9 points. Steve Wybrant, 9 points. Nigel on 7, and Chesney on 6 is bottom. Moving up into what you say is the best division in the going.
By a long way.
The Championship. Okay, Andrew Clancy is top now. He beat Mark Morris, and he's now 3 points clear at the top. 2 points clear. As Tom Drew with you, Lee. Lowly Lee, I should say.
Yeah, I know. I'm wounded. Sometimes I think I'd rather lose than draw. Draw just seems like such a shit thing to happen.
Yeah, but you've got to think it could have been another point the other way. You'd have lost, though, wouldn't you? That would have been painful. Jamie, you suffered a narrow defeat to Ross this time.
I tell you, it was bloody discipline at the weekend. The amount of my players who got booked and lost points just really pissed me off. I'd have wondered if they behaved themselves or stayed on the pitch longer than 60 minutes. Anyway.
Wins for Jim Daly, Henry Mullen, and Joe Derrick. Put them all above you, actually. They all leapfrogged you, Jamie. Carl, you lost to Rich Lay, but Rich Lay got the highest score of the week in the division, so you just got to take that on the chin, I suppose. Jonas was thrashed by Swanee, and Alistair Griffin finally won after winning Manager of the Month 2 months ago. League table was Andrew Clancy's top 21, Tom Gregory has 19, and the playoffs are Jim with 18, Joe with 16, Henry 16, and you, Jamie, with 15. And the bottom three are Nick with 9 points, Lee with 7 points, and Jonas is bottom with 6 points.
Okay.
Into the Premier League, Mark Summerton stays top but finally lost. That's the last 100% record gone now. He lost to Eds, who played, I think, a wild card or a triple captain against him, I think. Neil closes the gap on him. He beat Leon, who was still struggling. The top scorer in that league was Chris Payne, who's also not turned up despite being the top scorer in the whole league this week.
Wow, well done.
He got 75 and beat Nikolai. Ben Shires did a 1-pointer on Rick Witter, and I shared a point with Andrew Chester. League tables wise, we've got Mark Summerton still top then with 24, Neil has 22, Ed's 21, Andrew Chester 19, Mark Horseman 18, and at the bottom we've got Michelle, Adam, Leon, Chris Dawkes, and John have all got 9 points, and rock bottom is Faris Badwan with 6.
Oh, some big names down there.
Yes. But it's early days.
It is early days. We're only is it quarter of the way season? Or just about quarter of the way.
Just about, yeah.
Oh yeah, with game week 10 on its way. Should we have a look ahead to some of the games in the actual proper Premier League? There's 3 games I've picked this weekend. First one is Newcastle against Arsenal. How do we think that's going to go? It's Saturday lunchtime game. So a decent Saturday lunchtime game for once.
Yeah.
I think Arsenal are going to. I read today because they got FA Cup tonight as well. Is it FA Cup or League Cup?
Carabao Cup, yeah, tonight.
Carabao Cup tonight, yeah. And I was reading earlier that Arsenal are playing a weakened squad against Preston, which I was surprised about considering next round's quarterfinals. So weakened squad means he's obviously keeping players ready for the weekend. I think Arsenal's recent results have probably shook them a little bit, in my eyes. Was it 2 draws and a loss? Obviously, the phantom Bournemouth loss. I can't see Newcastle turning Arsenal over at the weekend, not if they've rested players during the week.
They are a bit knackered with their injuries, though, aren't they?
Yeah.
So
and suspensions.
I fancy Newcastle Saturday lunchtime. I really do, and that sounds madness. I know, given Newcastle.
Oh, is it the early kickoff?
Yeah.
I had to draw then. Every early kickoff's always a draw. Doesn't matter who's playing.
Yeah, but Isak's just coming back into the side and he's had a game down now. I fancy a weird result like 3-1 Newcastle, something stupid like that. And I mean that as well. I genuinely think Newcastle will do them. Yeah, I do. I think Newcastle are going to do them. And I'm not a Newcastle fan, trust me. But
No, I don't think Arsenal can afford to lose now, can they, if they have a little blip?
Yeah.
Now's their time. I think last couple of seasons, Arsenal have kind of pulled away this stage of the season, haven't they? And then it's up to Man City to get on their little roll over January, February, March, where they just win every game. So Arsenal need a bit of a gap now if they're going to be behind Man City. When Man City get on a roll, then it's game over, isn't it?
Yeah. I think like Carl said, resting the players is a sign to me that he's going to go for it on Saturday. So yeah, I think Arsenal will win.
I hope Arsenal win, don't get me wrong, but I have a feeling Newcastle will win. Well, obviously you don't.
It's at Preston tonight as well.
It is,
I'm surprised he's resting players. It wouldn't be an easy place to go to.
I mean, he's still got a decent, he's still got like Gabriel Jesus up front and Sterling and Zinchenko, Jorginho and
all the rest of his squad still is
Martinelli.
It's not a bad side, is it?
Yeah.
Neto in goal.
It's like when City rests players, it's like, they've still got like a team that would beat anybody, on the day. So.
Exactly. Let's go Monday Night Football. It's Fulham-Brentford. Anyone care even about it? Why are Monday Night Football games, with the greatest respect to Fulham-Brentford fans that are in our league, it's not the game that's going to get you excited and after a crap Monday at work, is it?
I think I'm busy Monday night.
I think that's the kind of game that has 0-0 written all over it.
I have my transfer this week. I have put a Brentford player in, so hopefully that's a Brentford win and a hat trick.
Yeah, I think it's quite a good one for a Monday night because a lot of people have Fulham and Brentford players, don't they? So there's a bit of interest there for people.
I just think as a
I've got one of each actually.
Yeah, I think I've got Smith Rowe and Mbeumo now as well. So
yeah, well, Mbeumo's scoring record at home continued at the weekend, didn't it? He's flying at home.
That's why I just added in. Yeah,
but
and they have Flecken in goal as well, which I noticed Fantasy League put on this morning something about he's the only goalie to have played every game and not kept a clean sheet yet. So that's typical.
I thought that was the Chelsea keeper because he's doing crap for me at the moment. But anyway, discipline's his problem. He gets booked every game. I tell you, time wasting probably at the end.
But for me, that's a London fixture as well, isn't it? So we'll go for a draw.
Yeah, it could be a beauty. 2-2, I'm going to go.
Well, I've said 0-0, so they'll be going.
Smith Rowe 2, Mbeumo 2.
I'd take Smith Rowe 2.
I've got Raoul as well from Fulham, so
4-2 Fulham.
That'd be great.
4-2 Fulham. We're going to go big, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's for Ben Magic Mod. So.
And he means it.
He means it, exactly. Yeah. I mean it in all my debates, trust me. When we come on to talk about Ten Hag, I'll mean it. Right. How about talking of Manchester United, Chelsea? How do we think that's going to go?
Oh, when's that? Is that Saturday night?
I think that's Sunday. I think it's Sunday. Super Sunday, yeah.
I think I've got a feeling the manager will be announced before then. Because Sporting Lisbon have announced they've accepted the compensation. So United wouldn't announce today because of having a fixture tonight against Leicester and Ruud prepping the team. So could we see an announcement of the new manager tomorrow? I don't know I don't know how far along it is. So then against Chelsea, do you have the curse of the new manager in the good curse of the new manager? But I mean, it's United, and it's probably I think it'd take more than a good curse to fix that. So,
did you see the presser with Amarin yesterday though? And they asked him. It was after they must have played yesterday or something, did they? And they were interviewing him, and he said, "I can't say anything. I'll talk about it in a few days when it's all a bit clearer and it'll all become clear." And they said, "Will you be here on Sunday for the match, to Sporting Lisbon's match?" And he said, "Definitely. And I will be here. I will be here." And then they went, "Really?" And he went, "I have no idea."
I like that, answering questions.
I'm going to go with a draw.
A draw for Man U, Chelsea. All right. Anyone else?
Yeah, I go draw. I think they'll shut up shop United. They just don't want to lose.
No,
Whether new
they'll
manager
not do
comes
that.
in or not, just don't want to lose. So, yeah.
4-0, Cole Palmer 4.
Yeah, I think if Chelsea play like they did at Anfield the other week, I think they'll win. That's my take on it. I think Chelsea are looking more and more like an outsider for the league title for me as the season's going on. But we'll see. But talking of Man U, we can't not talk about Ten Hag, because we've talked about him most weeks and said, is he going? Is he not going? And he's gone. So, what, as a Man U fan, what are your thoughts on that, Carl?
Right decision, but far too late. Should have been. I mean, I think every Man United fan will tell you that. Like, it should have been done months ago. Should have been done. I think it's well documented. You know, winning the cup last season kept him in the job. How he sacked manager after winning the trophy. But that trophy just papered over some cracks over the summer. And it was a weird one because I think through the season there's been multiple times where he could have gone, but then, you know, they clinch an equaliser in the 89th minute. So it's forever been papering over cracks and so on. But for me, it's the last kind of 3 weeks have been probably the most frustrating and questionable of his time at United, with right backs playing centre attacking midfield, and you've had Rashford, who always plays on the left wing, now playing on the right wing. Then you've got no striker some week, and then you've got Fernandes as a striker. Like, it's just been absolute carnage the last 3 weeks. And it's almost like he's been hoping to find some magic solution and just picking names out of a hat of who's playing in what position each week. Like, it's been weird. It's been a weird few weeks, and I think it's been writing's been on the wall really, watching it for the last few weeks, that all it took was a loss, but we just couldn't get that loss to get rid of him. Kept getting equalisers in last minutes and stuff.
But who would you have then? Who would you have as the manager?
As you know, I said to you earlier, I'm the only United fan that would take Southgate.
Yeah, madness.
Anyway,
why would you take Southgate?
And I'll keep the rant and the explanation why shortened. But for me, is United in the last 3-4 years, you know, Mourinho, before that Van Gaal and Solskjaer and Ten Hag, all these managers keep coming in, and there's constantly an absolute whirlwind around Old Trafford. There's no unity, there's no team cohesion, there's just nothing. And where I sit from it is Southgate the manager that's going to come in and win you the treble, win you two trophies in a season? Absolutely not. No. But is he a manager that's going to come in and bring stability to a football club that for the last 6-7 years have had Ronaldo doing interviews with Piers Morgan about the manager, Sancho posting Instagram stories about the manager and so on? Like, for me, someone like Gareth Southgate comes in, brings stability to a club, potentially gets them back to being that top 5, even top 6 club consistently. The club's stable, it's consistent, it's a manager that knows when to put an arm around someone, when to not put an arm around someone, wouldn't ever allow it to get to a point where you've got public fallouts on TV and interviews and so on. Like, I think the one thing United need is, I think for United, we're trying to go from where we are now to winning the league instantly. And it's like, this manager's not doing it, get another manager. This manager's not doing it, get another manager. But I think we're missing the steps in between of actually bringing United back to being a stable top 6, top 4, top 5 club. So for me, it's Southgate would bring that stability. The other part of it for me is Southgate arguably is the manager with the biggest understanding and education on youth football in England. So there's no manager in England that knows the hidden gem 15, 16-year-olds coming through the system at the moment who are English. And I think for any club he goes to, that is going to be a humongous asset to whatever club he goes to be able to bring in and go, well, actually, whilst we're in England set up, we were monitoring this 15, 16-year-old that are coming through at the moment at Oxford United, whoever it is. And I think that's going to be a huge asset to any club he goes to in the next 12 months.
Yeah, can't disagree with you there, to be honest with you, Carl. As you know, I'm a Mancunian, born and bred in Stretford, but a Tottenham fan. So I've still got a soft spot for United. And to watch the club from a non-fan point of view just crumble and become this shell of its former self is pretty sad.
Marvellous.
For the Leeds fans, absolutely loving it. And for many other clubs as well, because of all the success in the 90s and what have you. But they do need that identity back. And I've always said, you need that core of players that, even players like Scott McTominay and, that'll fight for the club. Maybe not the greatest player on this earth, but I'd rather have him than Anthony, who costs, however 80 odd million or whatever it was. But I think I'm not a Southgate fan at all. But I think what you're saying about him coming in and bringing stability it's what the club needs. They don't need this manager that's going to come in and wave a magic wand, because it doesn't exist anymore. They need somebody to come in.
That's going to happen with the new manager either. I don't think that's great stats with Sporting. Okay, fantastic, but you don't commit. A lot of people are posting about his recent Sporting stats. The XG, goals predicted, all this stuff, the shots on target, the possession. He's not stood at the side of the pitch with a controller. What's on the pitch is reliable on that. And I think, you go back to class of 90, as a United fan, we always go back to class of 92, the 90s and so on. And it's like, you take all of those players, whether it was your Gary Neville's, your Nicky Butts and so on, none of them were phenomenal on their own. But as a team, they were unstoppable. When you put them together in a setup, they were unstoppable. And I think for me, that's why I always, people laugh at me, it's fine, but that's why I keep leaning on Southgate. I'm like, to be able to build the cohesion in a team where it doesn't need to be, we're signing Anthony for 80 million because he's a world beater. Well, he's not, because you've put him, you're relying on him to do it individually. And I think there's way too much of that at United at the moment. Is we're not signing players to work within a team cohesion. We're signing players because of their stats and stuff, and we're expecting them to do it on their own individually, and that's why every United player on the pitch just looks beat constantly, because they're all playing 11 individual games in my eyes.
They're absolutely rattled by Man City, aren't they? I think them being the best team now, they can't cope with it at all. That's the only reason only reason they got Ronaldo in, wasn't it? Because Man City were rumoured to be buying him. And then this guy isn't this guy supposed to be replacing Pep if he goes as well?
Well, apparently, rumours come out whenever this stuff comes about, but it's like, Liverpool were apparently after him before their current manager. City had been eyeing him up as the next replacement for Pep and so on. But, for me with City, I don't, again, it's probably a laughable opinion, but I don't think their dominance and powerhouse kind of nature lasts for much longer, because eventually the players, when De Bruyne is not in that team, you see how much even Haaland and everyone struggle because they don't get the service that they need. And these players that they're so reliable on are reaching retirement age in the coming years, or they're going to start getting less minutes and so on. And I think over the next 2-3 seasons, we start to see a very different City. I mean, they've got enough money to go and buy the best, but can you just go and replace players like De Bruyne and stuff? I don't think there are players out there that you can just go and pick out of other teams and they just slot back in. I think it takes time to build them into them positions and so on.
But it's not all about money. I mean, Man U, the amount of money they've spent is ridiculous.
Yep.
When you
horrendous.
It's absolutely horrendous, and it doesn't buy you success, does it? Let's be honest.
Nope.
But I think on the Man U front, Southgate, as a Borough fan, for what it's worth, his biggest flaw is he's stubborn. And if the going's good, he'll stick with it. If the going's bad, he won't listen to anybody else. And in England, he did that a little bit as well. He's just stubborn. He's got his way. And when we got relegated, he just wasn't making any changes. He had guys Mendieta not even in the squad, like not even on the bench. And everyone in Borough's like, how the hell's he not better than anybody else you put on the pitch right now? And
Who's heard of Mendieta? He's crap. Nobody's ever heard of a player called Mendieta.
like Mendieta was phenomenal, and yes, he was like the latter years of his career, but you can't tell me that you wouldn't roll the dice with. And I think Southgate even allegedly said afterwards that he's someone he probably should have turned to. But anyway, it's that kind of thing. But I think Michael Carrick at some point will be an amazing Man United manager. It's only because we've got crap players who can't finish. The way he sets us up and the way he sets us up to play, if we had quality in our side, we'd be laughing. And I think
if he comes to United, he's going to have crap players who can't finish as well. So,
but give him time. When the time's right, he'll go to Old Trafford and he'll be a great manager, in my opinion. He's brilliant.
Yeah, because I mean, the word starts going around about McKenna from Ipswich, and all the usual suspects will keep coming out. But I don't know. Happy to be proven wrong with the new manager, but I don't know whether it's just another appointment because City and Liverpool were sniffing, and so it's just the same stuff.
Well,
I also think it's weird how quickly it came about after Saturday. Really strange. It was like literally almost like a done deal the same evening. So
he was probably interviewed in the summer,
Yeah, I mean that's it. If they've been talking to him for a while of time, do it sooner. Like I don't know what the wait's been, but
he maybe's had some weird demands, and they've managed to get like so many yellow M&Ms, so you can now give him them and give him the job. So he's like, yeah, I'm in.
Probably wants to live near Swanee. That's his gate.
There must be a house free next to Swanee. Get that done.
Maybe they just needed to get rid of Fergie. They got rid of Fergie last week, and now they've got rid of Ten Hag this week. So.
Yeah, exactly.
You never know. Fergie could come back. That might be why. We need to get you out of this position to bring you in another position.
Right. Well, we were talking Manchester United, so we'll continue talking Man U, Carl. But why Man U for you?
Just from my dad.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. My first football memory is being stood on the terrace in the Stretford end with my dad. I was very little. That's my first football memory of me being against a standing barrier and him with his arms around me, so I didn't get crushed. And it was he used to take me. He tells me stories, before he married my mum and all this stuff about jumping the train every week and going United away and all these kind of stuff from the 60s, 70s, 80s and so on. And I think he just wanted to, when I got to about 5-6 years old, he gave him his moment again to go to United and take me with him. So it was just, we used to drive up all the time. And then I got to and I used to go up with him probably 6-7 times a season. And then I got to like 13, 14 and became way too cool for football. And I was skateboarding and smoking behind the tree at school and stuff and hanging down the skate park with my mates, and then fell back into it in about 21. So you had about a 6-7 year gap where I watched football but wasn't interested in going because it meant I couldn't spend my Saturdays down the skate park with my mates and stuff. So, but yeah, I think a lot of people will relate to that. It's football teams, sometimes they're not chosen, they're just given shit from a very early age and you don't know no different.
Yeah. And where did you say you first were stood? Was it on the terrace? Is that what you said?
It was on the terrace, yeah. It was on the terrace, yeah. Many moons ago.
Good one.
I've stood on many terraces since.
Yeah. Terrace is the word of the week, people. And what are the highs and lows of supporting United? I mean, there's probably obvious highs, but
there's always obvious highs, my dad was at the final, the Bayern Munich final, so I was watching that on telly. My dad was there, and that was amazing.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was young. You don't really process it. I was like 13. You don't really process what's involved in going to that kind of game. But now I'm older, and I speak to my dad as an adult. It's like he flew out there. He booked a flight, flew out there, no ticket, nothing. Just flew out there. Yeah. Ended up getting in. Still hasn't told me or my mum how much he spent on the ticket. it's hidden information. Still won't tell us to this day. He had no hotel. Just went to the game. Come out of the game. Waited for his flight back in the morning and stuff. And like as an adult, you're like, that's so cool. Like just to fly out to that kind of thing with no ticket and that. And as a kid, you don't really care about that stuff. You're just looking for your dad on telly and stuff. But there were highs, going to charity shields at Wembley and all those kind of things as a kid. That I shared a thing off Terrace the other day of Helen Chamberlain where she talks about the FA Cup magic and how much it's been lost since Champions League, and how she talks about FA Cup and how you used to go around at school, and even if you didn't support one of the teams playing, you'd be like, who do you want to win in the FA Cup?
Yeah.
And coverage started at 10 in the morning for 3 o'clock kickoff and the behind the scenes cover. It was a really good video from Helen that was on social media. And I felt like that about a lot of things. Like, I used to think it was amazing going to Charity Shield at Wembley, but the old Wembley, and it was just like such an event and such an occasion. And so there's loads of highs with that kind of stuff. Lows, I wouldn't really say. It sounds really boring, but I don't really have any lows because I don't get that emotionally invested to let it ruin my day. Like, it's don't get me wrong, since Fergie's gone and the decline, it's been crap being a Man United fan, but also had 20 years of awesome before that. So it's kind of like I don't really see any lows, if that makes sense. Like, part and parcel of it, isn't it? Like,
No, to be fair, it's refreshing to hear you say that, to be honest, because you hear Man U fans talking about the end of the world and you think, try supporting Middlesbrough or someone like that. You know what I mean? It's like,
no.
So it's,
if we finish 8th, it's a disaster where we'd all dream to finish 8th.
Exactly. It's just, it's because obviously we work a lot of, Man United fan, but like this season and last season, like I'm a closet Morecambe fan because of obviously it's our first kick deal.
Come on, the Shrimpers.
Yeah, so it's just like I've been to more Morecambe games than I have Man United this season. Like, I've absolutely lived for it at the moment because they're wearing Terrace kits in the EFL. Like, it's like a childhood dream for me. Like, it's just every week is just mental. Like, I've spent this week sorting. So Morecambe have got a player that on loan from Salford called Marcus Dackers. He's 6'7", 6'8", giant, and his shirt he wears a large, but it's not long enough for him, so he has to wear an XL to get the extra length. But it's like a bed sheet on him, and because he's so tall, they've got a real problem this season with defenders pulling his shirt when he runs because there's so much shirt. So I've spent the last 2 weeks with the factory making a bespoke shirt fit for him that's got extra length on the and it's like, this is stuff like as a kid you just be like, if you told me I was going to be doing that with my 30s, I'd be mental. So you're like, it's when you work so closely with a club, you end up supporting them because you just like you're gunning for them every week. You're watching every game. You're so emotionally involved in it, and I say about no lows as a Man United fan. I think it's because lifelong fan. When you're a kid, there are lows going to school and getting piss taken out of you the next day because you lost to Liverpool or whatever, and it's the end of the world for you. But as an adult, it's like Morecambe will probably deliver me more lows this season than Man United because it's not looking great at the moment. Bottom of League 2, it's been a tough season, a lot of off the field problems, and it's like relegation National League. That'll be a low because that'll be like a real low. But we'll still be there next season doing their kits, whether it's National League or whether it's League 2. They'll still get exactly the same as what they got in League 2. So, highs and lows. That's where I'll finish it on that. I think it's
interesting.
Don't see them as lows, just see them as the journey.
Yeah,
nice and inspirational for you there.
I don't know if that inspirational quote will make the TikTok or Instagram. You never know, it might do.
Are you still doing the retro thing with York?
Yes, we've done some retro shirts for them.
York are flying this season.
We've been doing retro shirts for them and some stock in the club shops and stuff. And great club, really good people behind the scenes that are trying to deliver absolutely above and beyond for fans. Really good club to work with.
Yeah, well, York beat Halifax the other day, and York took 2,000 fans, and Halifax only had 1,300 fans.
Yeah,
saw that.
Two goals in injury time to win as well, didn't it? It was like the pitch invasion at the end looked brilliant.
It was mad.
It's good. Good to see York doing well. Right, homework time, people. Have you prepared a question to ask Carl? I'll kick off, but hopefully you've got your questions ready. So, Carl, what's the best thing about being on Twitter, or X, as we call it now?
What's the best thing about being on Twitter?
Fantasy football.
Oh yeah, the only time I log into my Terrace Carl X being when I get a notification from Steve saying I've been tagged in something. I don't want to go down too political and so on, but I'm quite a firm believer in mainstream media being absolute toffee and led by parties, and I love on X and Twitter, and I don't want to sound like Elon Musk and Donald Trump, but the whole freedom on there that you can find out so many opinions and facts and arguably a lot of rubbish as well about topics and so on. But I just love, I guess, Twitter in a nutshell, I love how much of a minefield it is on a daily basis, that the smallest things can get covered in the news, but such a bigger story on Twitter when there's so much more reported and there's so much more space to talk, basically.
Absolutely. We'd never be told what to do in mainstream media, though, ever. I just want to tell you that would never, ever happen. So anyway, anyone else got a question for Carl?
I've got a couple of questions, actually, if you don't mind. So you are obviously a passionate football fan. And it comes out not only in you speaking tonight, but in the Terrace and everything that you do, whether it's on social media or whatever. It's all about the fan. So question one, where's my Champions mug? Question two is, what about other sports? Have you ever thought? I think I tagged you in something about Terrace Sportswear about rugby league.
Yeah.
And what about other sports? Is there any sport you'd really like to get into? Is it kind of?
There's a lot we do that nobody sees. So we do so if you go on to PDC store for the darts, and there's a shop on there, and you can buy loads of merchandise from Luke Littler to Rob Cross to whoever. We print all that. We designed it all. We do it all. We do a lot in other sports. We're a license holder for the ECB, so we do all the English cricket merchandise for not all of it, but some of it for the stadiums that they obviously all the England team tour around and so on. Mm-hmm. We've done some ice hockey stuff. We do some work with Wigan Warriors. They have on-demand integrations for merchandise and stuff. So we spread a little bit, but if I'm perfectly honest, I think other sports are decades behind football in merchandising. When you compare the two, because we get to compare the two of how well something sells compared to something else. I don't know, but that doesn't come down to the club or the sport itself. It just comes down to fans and what they want and how passionate they are. And I think that's why I love football so much, is because the passion is already there. It will always be there, and it's you compare football sales, one of our football licenses, compared to a rugby, a cricket, a hockey, whatever it is, they're worlds apart, absolutely worlds apart. So we love working with any sport. We're trying everything. We think there's a real gap in the market for boxing. If it's done right, I think there's a really big opportunity. So we want to kind of enter into other sport worlds and push the boundaries. We've done it with the PDC. The merchandise you can buy via the PDC now, it's never been seen before, and it's working. Yeah. Fans are starting to fall into this kind of love for buying unique outside of the box merchandise around them sports and so on. But it's actually a secondary area we're working is actually not sport, but we do a lot with music.
Yeah.
Paul and I, co-directors, actually come from the music world before Terrace, so we were artist managers for decades, and we've been doing football shirts for Green Day, Blur, Sam Fender. The list goes on forever.
Festivals and everything.
Yeah, festival shirts, loads of stuff, and it's so cool doing football shirts in the music world. It's so cool.
It is. It is. I love. I think I said in one of the earlier pods, I love a football shirt that's from a band.
Yeah,
you've just got so much more. You don't have to think about the player, if you know what I mean.
We did loads in the Leeds colours for skylights as well. That was a really cool project to work on.
Yeah, they were good shirts, though.
Yeah, they were really cool, and they were received so well. And it's like that's again another area like football, because the passion's there. The fans love the band so much they want to buy stuff to represent that band, the same as a football fan wants to represent the club that they support. And we just, from what I see on data and sales and so on, is other sports are just quite far behind that, in the sense of, I'm sure they get the turnovers and similar turnovers and stuff, but just that passion for merchandise and buy-in is somewhat slower in different areas.
Should do something for Christmas, maybe.
Yeah, a Christmas football shirt. Released today.
Oh, really?
Plug. Yeah, give it a plug. We're fully behind our sponsors, so come on.
Seamless.
Tell us more.
Yeah.
By the way, if you are listening to this, we're doing a lot of clothing up with Terrace mugs every time there's a. So yeah, watch it on YouTube.
I'm not.
Yeah, you're not. You're refusing to take part in this. Foolery.
It's a bit like that calendar girls thing where our mug covers a nipple or something.
You know, it's only a matter of months before there's an official calendar.
Sing when you're winning.
Sing when you're winning manager's calendar.
Whatever. One for each league.
Yeah. All the managers of the month.
Chesley's already done his in his latest video.
That is true, yeah. Suddenly I don't want to be manager of the month anymore. So, Steve, do you have a question?
I don't know. What is, and as you said before, you've sold that many mugs and you see mugs all day long. Which is your best-selling mug?
Oh, I don't know whether I can access it quick enough to actually tell you exactly. I would probably say in history, it would be a Leeds mug.
Yes.
And I would say it will.
Are you just saying that for Steve because he asked the question?
No, I do like to keep him happy, but
there is a lot of Leeds products on there, though, isn't there?
There is.
Yeah, like I have, I'm very transparent. I've probably said to you before, like Leeds fans helped us build this business. Like we started doing Leeds products and kit mugs and all this stuff, and Leeds fans kind of just took us under their wing and on Twitter and everywhere, and like they shopped it was just phenomenal. And now we've obviously, that was in the unlicensed days, and it was just releasing Leeds products all day, every day. And then Leeds fans would be like, that's amazing. Now do it for this player, and now release this kit mug. And we'd be like, okay. So we do that one. And then they'd be like, oh, I love it. Now do this one. And we just let them lead us.
Yeah.
And then, some people hate it. Us as business owners, it's how it happens. You get bigger, people start seeing it, and then clubs want a license with you. And now we've got a huge Sheffield Wednesday following, Preston North End following, Morecambe, all the other clubs that we're dealing with and so on. So there's not as much focus on Leeds. We still release regular Leeds products and so on, but it's not as, we only have so much time in the day now. And there are certain Leeds fans that are like, oh, you don't release enough anymore. You don't care about Leeds fans. It's like, it's not like that at all. We're still two blokes with X amount of staff trying to do everything in a 12-hour period. For me and Paul, an 18-hour period.
And I think a lot of that was in kind of COVID times as well, wasn't it? Where people just sat there thinking, what can I buy today?
100%. Like we did
work to go.
We actually signed off on a new premises just before COVID. We upgraded the premises because we were getting bigger and more demand, and we needed more machines. Signed the paperwork. The next day they cancelled the football season, and then the lockdown, and we were like, oh, bollocks, this isn't good. Like we got tripled our rent costs and so on. So we were like, what do we do? And then COVID was actually arguably, I hate to say it, was a really big benefit for us because everyone was at home, not spending money on anything else, so just shopping online like mad. It was like Christmas for 4 months. And so, yeah, that was really big. But I mean, the best-selling mug, to go back to, I'll go on a tangent, best-selling mug, I'm going to say, is probably, not so much now, but the sales of it from over the years will always make it the best-selling mug, is probably the Yeboah away 93, the green and blue stripes mug.
Yeah.
That was just, couldn't stop selling it. And when you got promoted to the Premier League as well.
Yeah,
we did a Bielsa going up mug.
All right, I got the Bielsa. I think from his first season one, it was like a Bielsa tracksuit
Kit
mug, if
mug,
you
Bielsa,
like. Yeah,
we did the Bielsa kit mug. Of his
yeah.
tracksuit,
Yeah.
Little MB on the chest.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've done loads of stuff. There's and we did loads of stuff with Burley Banksy. Here's mugs and coasters and that stuff that sold really well. Yeah, it'll definitely be a Leeds mug. Some Sheffield Wednesday mugs are slowly catching it up.
You should do a Luke Ayling one for Jamie, because there was a Luke Ayling one with like a ponytail, wasn't there?
Yeah, it's Ayling with a ponytail.
Yeah, let's have a borrow one of them. That'd be good, because he's great. We missed him the weekend when we blew our 2-goal lead. But anyway, we'll move on. Should we play Sing When You Win in Superfan as sponsored by the Terrace? Does anyone want to do that?
Yes.
Yes.
Who did you say it's sponsored by? Sorry.
I think it's sponsored by the Terrace.
Oh, the Terrace.
The Terrace, yeah. Have you heard of them? Very good. Yes.
No.
By the way, if you're listening to this, watch it on YouTube. Otherwise, I'm not saying it's any funnier on YouTube, but you might understand it a bit more. So, yes, each week we test our guests' footballing knowledge and see how many questions they can get correct in 90 seconds. So currently top of the leaderboard is Joe with 6. We've got quite a few people on 4, all the way down to our Sing When You're Winning theme tune artiste, Nigel, on 2. So 2 is the score to beat. Yes, that is it, Lee.
My football knowledge is horrendous. So this will be fun. I could be the first person on 0.
I'm confident you will get more than 0. There we go. So, Steve, are you happy to do the timer? You are. We've got 90 seconds, and Lee's fingers are ready to do the scoring in the air. But what will we shout when we get to 90 seconds?
Terrace.
Yes, that's it. So there we go. That's a great pause, Lee. We'll have to get that. So when I start, the 90 seconds will start. So what was the first African country to host a World Cup?
No idea. Pass.
South Africa. Who is Manchester United's all-time top scorer?
Rooney.
It is Rooney. Well done. Which footballing federation organises the Club World Cup?
No idea. FIFA.
It is FIFA. Yeah. So you got 2.
Happy now. We'll call it that.
Who scored Chelsea's winning goal in the 2021 Champions League final?
No idea.
It was Havertz. He scored against Manchester City in that game. Where will the Women's Euro 2025 be held?
Is it England?
No, it's not England. It is Switzerland. And what's the northernmost city to have hosted the World Cup final?
Say it again.
What's the northernmost city to have hosted the World Cup final?
Jesus Christ. No idea. No idea whatsoever.
Stockholm hosted the final in 1958. And which nation...
Terrace.
Which start or finish? Which nation have made the most appearances at the European Championships without winning it?
England.
Yes. Been to 11 Euros, but never won it. That's 3. Well done. There you go. You did better than you thought you were going to do.
Stockholm.
Yeah. It's a mix. Some are nice and easy, some are virtually impossible. But there you go. You got 3, so you can.
Yeah, I'll take that. It wasn't a 0. I was fully prepared to get 0.
Yeah, and there Lee's. He's
the trick Ben taught me. The magic mod taught me that one.
Displaying what you got. So there we go.
I'm so tunnel vision. It's either Man United, Morecambe, or Terrace. It's pretty much my football tunnel vision.
Well, talking of the Terrace, we've got a special game coming up very shortly at the end. Let's have an update on Bletchley Scott then. They've not played for a couple of weeks. I think they're at a point where, is it cup games or something like that? What's happening there, Carl?
Yeah, mixture of cup games and also winter season. So when the winter season comes in, they can go weeks without a game. It's waterlogged pitches. It'll soon be frozen pitches. Give it about 3-4 weeks, and it'll be frozen pitches. And then come January, February, it's extending the season until July because there's that many games to play. Because obviously at that level, you can't go and squeeze me on Tuesday nights because the grounds don't have floodlights or nothing. So it's just a bit of a fixture congestion next year. And but no, they're doing well. I watched them the other week while I was watching my daughter play for the under-12 girls. And yeah, it's those kind of leagues, especially at like under 15 level, is like when you start to see certain teams have evidently the star kids that are starting to go somewhere and so on. So one week you'll play a team that's phenomenal. The next week you'll play a team that seems 10 years behind you. But when I saw them the other week, I think it was a good 9-2 win or something. It was huge. They did really well. And their thirds looked amazing.
Yeah, I was going to say that they've got a brilliant strip, haven't they? As we like to wear on the pod.
They're all buzzing by it though. Like their manager, like the players, all of them. They absolutely love the fact that it's not just like a local plasterer or something on the front. But you know what I mean? Like it's just such a unique. And even the chairman of the club was like, still blows my mind that it's like a fantasy Premier League WhatsApp group as such and so on that got together and sponsored the shirts. Like they tell everyone at the club about it because it's just so unique. Like they're so proud of it.
Yeah. The Terrace leading the way again. That's what it is.
Always outside the box.
And who was it who manufactured those shirts?
I think it was Terrace.
Terrace. Oh, the Terrace.
I think it was that. Have you got a bit cold there, Steve, by the way? It's a bit,
yes.
Yeah.
I feel like I've aged a day.
It's all in the continuity. It's all in the continuity. But yeah, do any of them listen to the pod? I mean, sometimes it's a bit sweary, but we try.
I mean, they probably swear more than us. Let's be honest. Lads, but I'm not sure if they do. I told the gaffer to. I think he tunes in sometimes.
Yeah, well, we always say, "Come on, Bletchley," and we'll keep rooting for them. But I think the next game's 2 weeks' time or something.
Yeah, I think it's a couple of weeks' time. I did see a message earlier in the managers' chat that their training session's been cancelled tonight for obvious reasons because it's Thursday tonight, so it's Halloween. So 15-year-old lads are all out on the streets.
Exactly. And if you were wondering where the continuity was, last night we were talking about Arsenal playing, and tonight we're talking about Halloween. We'll keep moving on.
We've moved boxes as well. The boxes we've probably different people's houses.
We had a plan, and it's all gone. It's all gone wrong. So let's talk about
my t-shirts got darker from last night as well. Everything's changing. It's weird.
Halloween.
It is. It's that spooky Halloween vibe. Shall we talk manager of the month?
Slept in them, those two.
I never leave home without it, or go anywhere without it. To be honest, I think it's attached to my skin. Manager of the month. Let's talk about manager of the month because we are at the end of October now.
Yes, and the manager of the month for this month was Tim Ward, and he wins the Potions Cauldron Manager of the Month.
Well done, Tim.
It was quite a close one. There was quite a lot of teams in it, and a lot of people who thought they might have won it then just fell at the last. And I think it was Salah's goal, probably. I think Tim had Salah as captain, which kind of pushed him up right at the end.
Well done. He'll get some portions through the post, won't he?
He will get some portions, yeah.
And hopefully not the luck that Alistair Griffin had when he won.
No, but Alistair's curse is broken now. So
it has.
Maybe it's passed on.
He's won. So shall we play a different game this week, as we've got Carl as our guest? And as in case anyone has forgotten, Carl is also heads up Terrace. You're managing director of the Terrace. Is that your official title?
Just director.
Director of the Terrace. And yeah, they obviously, as the Terrace sponsor the league, then I thought we'd have a bit of a game around Talk of the Terrace is what I'm calling it. Talk of the Terrace for any Shed 7 fans out there. We're going to play a game of higher or lower. So this is for everybody, because obviously I would expect Carl to know the prices of things on his website. But we're going to start with an item that you can buy on the Terrace website. and then we'll play higher or lower for the different things after that. So nice and easy. So we're going to start with, you said earlier in the show that Leeds, you sold loads of Leeds merch, essentially. So we're going to start with what you're calling, not my words, a dirty Leeds bucket hat. How much is that? Let's start with the others, because Carl will know how much that is. Lee, Steve, how much do you think a dirty Leeds bucket hat is?
It's going to be £15.
Yeah, I'll go 14.99.
Oh, he's on the money, 14.99. Yes,
He's got one.
If there's one thing you'll learn about the Terrace website, they like a 99.
They do like a 99p. Yeah.
They do, and that's Lee knowing that.
Retail, that is.
Yeah, very good.
Cheaper than 15.
Let's tease people into thinking, yeah, well, I'm not quite paying 15 quid. That's a good deal. It works though. So 14.99, a dirty Leeds bucket hat. We're going to stay with a bucket hat, but we're going to go for an England St. George bucket hat. Now, would that be higher or lower than a dirty Leeds bucket hat?
Lower.
Yeah, I'll go lower as well.
You think England's lower than dirty Leeds?
It also depends on what point in the year you look at that product.
Uh-huh.
What's going on at the time?
Dynamic pricing in action.
So right now it's low.
Although
6
we've got a
months
new
ago it was
England manager.
high.
Yeah, 6 months ago it was way more than this. Buy it now, buy it in bulk, people. But yeah, you are right. It is lower. It's $11.99.
Oh, bargain.
That is a bargain. Just in time for Christmas. Get your England St. George.
Not clearing stock at all, I promise.
No. It's not that time of year. Halfway through the financial year and seeing where you're at. How about we'll stick it? This is the last bucket hat, I promise. Nottingham Forest 1997 bucket hat. How much would one of them be higher or lower than $11.99? What happened in 1997 for Nottingham Forest that made it so? I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Did they win the Rumbelows Cup or whatever it was?
Well, that was early 90s. Well, they were flying in the early 90s. In the late 90s, they went a bit crap.
Yeah, but no, I think they had a bit of a cup win somewhere in the 80s, didn't they? I'm sure they won a League Cup in the 80s.
Yeah, late 80s, early 90s, they were quite good in the cups. But this is 97.
Lower.
Oh, 97, sorry. Yeah.
I'm going to go lower.
We're going lower than $11.99.
Is that when they got promoted back to the Premier League or got relegated even? When did they have Roy? Was it Roy that used to play for him? No, you're looking at me blank.
No, I know who you're on about.
Player
No.
when they were in the Premier League, wasn't he? When Frank Clark was manager.
Yes. But
Somebody
anyway,
Roy or I'm sure there was somebody.
do we think 97 Forest bucket hat is higher or lower than Lee's gone lower than $11.99?
I'm gonna go higher.
You're gonna go higher. Carl,
Just for the excitement.
Carl, how much is it?
I don't know how much it is. I know roughly where it is, but I know it's higher.
It is higher.
Believe it, substantially higher.
It is. It's $22.99. People.
Ooh.
Good
Yeah.
grief.
The 97 bucket hat is so the two you mentioned before are just plain bucket hats with a print on.
Yeah.
The 97 bucket hat is a fully bespoke made bucket hat that looks like the kit, and that's why 97 is so popular for Forest fans because it's arguably one of their most iconic kits in their history. The yellow one,
yellow and black,
the umbro, and the crazy pattern all over the shoulder.
Yeah. Awesome. So it's an education on this show.
It is.
If this had been about sponsors and kits, I'd have been.
Yeah.
That's my forte.
Right. We've got two more. We're moving away from the bucket hat, but that's $22.99. Remember, this is a Puma 90s jacket, and it does look a little bit like one of the Forest training tops. Just it's like red and white, but it's a Puma 90s jacket. Would that be higher or lower than a bucket hat?
Higher, I think. Higher is going to be $39.99.
Yeah, I'll go higher as well. I'm gonna say $34.99.
Oh, right. Okay. Carl, do you want to come in, or do you know this one?
Pretty positive it's lower.
It is low. It's $19.99. It's a bargain, people. I mean, it might be out of stock even. It's that much of a bargain, but it's on the website.
That's part of our vault section of our website where we find products from the 90s and source them and so on and sell them. So there's only one on the website. So when it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah.
I see. Good stuff.
It's a very old school track jacket.
But So 1999. So you got that one wrong, unfortunately, guys. But the last thing, and I think this is brilliant, that there's a number of Bletchley Scott items on the website. A Bletchley Scott sweatshirt, is that higher or lower than the Puma 90s jacket in 1999?
It's got to be lower.
I'll go higher, I think.
Just for sales.
Just for fun. One's gone higher, one's gone lower. Again, Carl, do you want to tell us, is it higher or lower than 1999?
I want to say, I think it might be a little bit higher.
You want to say higher for your profits. When you're right, it is higher. It is $25.99.
Yeah, I was going to say, all sweatshirts, don't matter who they are, standard pricing.
No, it looks cool. So there's a sweatshirt and there's like a training jacket that looks very similar, like nice black with just the small crest. But yeah, $25.99 people. So get your Bletchley Scott sweatshirt or training top on the Terrace. So are you happy that this week we've covered the Terrace enough, Carl?
I think
as our sponsor, are you happy with that?
I think enough angles of what we do has probably been covered. But
yeah,
if anyone needs a kit, or if anyone's looking for a Christmas present that is remotely related to football, probably find it at the Terrace.
And feel free to use this as a promo in future. In the future, if people want to understand about your business model, what else you do, it's as long as you feel happy as our sponsor, I think the job is done this week.
Yes, I think the job's very much done. And in return, I will be getting league winner prizes out next week.
There you go. You heard it first.
I've got a chat to Steve about what we're doing, just to confirm with Steve of what homeware items he wants this for last.
And that's usually something quite random, isn't it?
What did they have last season? Was it a cushion?
The cushion, and I don't know. They've had chopping boards, and I got socks back in the day, I think.
We tried to go for the randomest of products. We do.
Maybe we should do pants so Stu can have a pair.
Yeah, get Stu some pants. That would work brilliantly.
We do have an in-house. We've invested in a new machine so we can in-house engrave now. So I could even do craft beer glasses.
And nice.
And so we could even go, rather than novelty homeware, we could go luxury glassware now.
That would be classy. A wine glass or a pint glass, yes.
Yeah. Now you're talking.
My brand glass.
yeah, that's fine. Whiskey glass, I'm all for that.
Just
anything the liquid will go into.
It could just be a set of 4.
Yeah, exactly. See, this is turning into a whole marketing exercise now as well. So, but thank you so much, Carl, for joining us this week. And yeah, we will keep saying "Come on, Bletchley" as well. I hope that they do well throughout the season. But yeah, don't forget you can follow us on Twitter at SWYW_FPL. If you need to watch this on YouTube to get lots of the cheap gags this week, but why not leave us a comment or ask us an FPL question, and we might discuss it in next week's show, where we'll be joined by another top guest. So, as I said, thanks to Carl. Good luck with the rest of the season in FPL, and also good luck with Morecambe as well. We'll keep cheering them on. I hope they pick up. But thanks to Lee, thanks to Steve. Enjoy your Halloween. I know this will be Friday morning when you're listening to it. Enjoy the fireworks next week if that's your thing too. But most importantly, enjoy your footballing week. Keep on singing and keep on winning. Cheers.